Medina Lake Preservation Society. I'm the president. I have with me the president and the chairperson and the co-chair for the Bandera Historical Commission, because Lake Hills falls under Bandera County. And this is the Spettel Riverside House. And what's unique about the Spettel Riverside House is that it was moved because of the construction of the Medina Dam. It was sitting on the river, lake bed, and so then it had to be moved, and it was actually part in half. You see the back of the house, you cannot see it, but it was part in half, and for 40 days they tried to pull it with a mule, which the water was moving fast, and so they had to then use a tractor with a steam engine, and a farmer who was doing oats of sorts, and he helped moved it because they needed more speed to move the other half of the house, and it's now sitting in Lake Hills. And it was built in, we don't know the exact date, but the owners were John Spettel and Teresa Liebold. They moved in 1881, so that makes the house, as of today, 131 years old. And so, even though, you see how damaged it is, it was actually declared a Texas Historical Landmark in 1981 by Texas. But it was taken over by a private entity of Thousand Trails RV Resort, and they used it and abused it and not maintained it. And so the last piece of it is that they've used it as a ghost for Halloween museum, and they put dirt and it's got termites inside. So we haven't been able to access the house per se, just once. We took pictures inside, but we were lucky that the first summit 3 years ago we had students that were willing to do a performance for us, and now we've been presenting that to use for funds and so forth.
Welcome. We're glad to have all of you here, the media, local representatives, many of our Preservation Texas board members on this beautiful spring day in Texas on our historic state capitol grounds. So welcome to all, and we'll get started, and the wind's going to rumble my voice a little bit, but that's okay. I'm Jim Ray. I'm president of the board of directors of Preservation Texas. We're the statewide advocacy group for historic preservation in Texas, and we're here today to announce our 9th annual list of most endangered places in Texas. Texas has a richer, more diverse, and more geographically spread culture than many countries in the world. Our historic places trace and document the Texas experience under 6 flags, along with the contribution of women and men from multiple races and cultures who went before us. Preservation and new uses for historic places allows us to forever remember, honor, and learn from the Texas experience. Me this morning is a group of very knowledgeable preservationists who are available for interviews for the media stories afterwards. They'll be here for a while, so take your time and visit with them. A lot of them you see lined up here ready to get their rewards. We also have some persons that I want to identify and call to your attention that are with us. Representative John Kemple is here. John, there you are right there. Mayor Betty Ann Mathis of Seguin is here. I believe Steve Shapey is here from Seguin. Shapey, I'm sorry. Don Kyle from Seguin. Mayor Leroy Hughes is over here among the honorees from the city of St. Augustine. And I want to take a minute and call out Krista Gebbia, our very excellent executive director of Preservation Texas, who makes us all look good. Terry Colley is here, the deputy director of the Texas Historical Commission. And my friend Julian Reed, who is, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Preservation in Texas. Julian, we're glad to have you here. Now I'd like to move on and introduce Preservation Texas board member Anna Glover of San Antonio. Anna is the person who shepherded this whole process through to today, and she's going to announce the Texas 2012 Most Endangered Places. Thanks again for being with us. Anna?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to be with you this morning and represent Preservation Texas. It's an organization that I've been with for over 3 years now, and so it's a real honor for me to stand here and make this announcement of the 2012 list of most endangered places. And by the representation that's here, I know that we all understand the power of preservation and that each of these 9 sites represents economic development and jobs in local communities. And so as you hear the list, I hope you think of the adaptive reuse and future prospects for each of these locations and what they can do for these communities. Whether it's a hotel or a museum, they represent jobs that cannot be exported. Preservation equals jobs, and it equals a return on investment. And by protecting these historic places, we protect our authenticity of our Texas story, and we protect our sense of place, things that cannot be replaced. And we know that last year the legislators heard clearly that historic preservation is important to Texans. And so now we'll have the list of the most endangered places. Representative Kemple has a map of the 9 locations, and we'll start with Kaufman County Poor Farm in Kaufman. We hope that the inclusion of the Kaufman County Poor Farm will lead to a broader acknowledgement of the role of poor farms in the history of our state. At one time, there were many. This is the only poor farm still operated by a county. Second on the list, the Lewis Railroad Hotel in San Agustin. This site is a tangible reminder of the African American heritage of San Agustin and East Texas. This heritage may be lost to new development unless action is taken soon. The Magnolia Hotel in Seguin. Seguin was once home to as many as 90 limecrete buildings. Limecrete? I didn't say concrete. It was an innovative technology that flourished in Seguin, and now there are only a handful of these type of buildings that stand, and the Magnolia Hotel is one of those. The movable jail cell in San Marcos. A movable jail cell, you might ask? I was on the selection committee, and most of us on the committee had no idea that such a type existed. So this is very rare, and we hope that this structure can find a permanent home where it can be preserved in Hays County. The Panhandle Inn in Panhandle. Once the site of multi-million-dollar deals during the oil booms of the 1920s and 30s, the Panhandle Inn is now in immediate need of complete makeover and new life. The William Pfluger House in Pflugerville. This house was home to 5 generations of families from the William Pfluger, a German immigrant and one of the founding fathers of Pflugerville. In the last 10 years, we know that Pflugerville has doubled in size, and this house, which represents the founding father of Pflugerville, is in threat from suburban sprawl. The Ritz Theater in Corpus Christi. This theater has been an entertainment landmark for generations in Corpus Christi. Residents serving a rich source of culture and music and entertainment. Restoring it will not only preserve an important classical movie palace of the 1920s, but will also help revitalize downtown Corpus Christi. The Spettel Riverside House in Lake Hills. The house was one of the earliest structures dating before 1880 in the Medina Lake region, and it remains an important symbol of its regional history and ranching heritage. This house was once threatened before, and the owners moved it from its position along the river to its current location, but it is still threatened. And as you may know, Bandera is the cowboy capital of the world. And in celebration of the inclusion of this site, the Bandera County has a special delegation here this morning. Several well-known gunslingers from the Bandera Cattle Company are here, and they are a cowboy reenactment group, and they've joined us along with their county officials. So thank you guys for joining us. This is the list, the 2012 list of most endangered places in Texas. They are in immediate danger of disappearing from the landscape. And by calling attention to these sites now, we want to encourage action while there is still time.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you everybody for being here on such a beautiful day. I can say as a 6th generation Seguinite, my family has deep roots in South Texas, and I've learned also today that I've got 2 connections with the sites. The Pfluger House in Pflugerville. My great-grandmother was a Pfluger, and we've been around Pfluger. The Kemples have been around Pflugerville for as long as the Bloombergs have been around been around Seguin. I understand the importance of the heritage and the history to all the Texans. I've embraced the historic preservation both personally in Seguin and on the state level as a state legislator. Historic preservation starts at a grassroots level. We see its impact here today with the inclusion of the Magnolia Hotel from Seguin and the 8 other locations around the state. And my compliments, I know we have a contingent today from Seguin, my compliments to the Main Street and the Seguin Conservation Society for being a part of this and their commitments to our historic downtown and city landmarks. And thanks to everybody in all the societies involved today for what they're doing in preserving our history. And finally, thanks too to the Preservation Texas for championing our state's rich history and serving as a unified voice in preserving the historic resources of Texas. Again, thank you for being here and thank you for letting me be a part of this.
There it is.
Thank you, Representative Tinkle. We greatly appreciate the support of the media and for taking this story to the streets of Texas. The spokespeople are here from the sites and are available for questions.